Well, hello everyone. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. We have a special edition today of Fridays with Sandy. It's because Harvard Business School will be releasing decisions on January 31st for round two applicants. This is the big round where people will either get invited to interview, and that's the subject of our seminar today, or people will be, in the euphemism used by Harvard Business School, released. We call it ding, right, Sandy?
Yes, ding. Yeah, released. Yeah, release me.
So for those who are going to be interviewed, Sandy, what can they expect?
They often give you a choice whether you want a Zoom interview or an in-person interview at the campus, or sometimes with an alum. I almost always favor in-person interviews. For one thing, you don't there won't be any technological problems, and you frequently just appear better, and you can get a read of the person and react to what's going on. It's not a critical difference, but if given the choice and it's not too much of a pain in the neck, I prefer an in-person interview, particularly if you combine it with a visit to the school. I think that's
Mm.
still an option. You sit in on a class, you meet other people who are being interviewed. That whole process just gets to relax you. If you've got a Zoom interview, what you're doing is you're walking around your house for an hour and a half before it, looking at the clock and just getting yourself nervous and disturbed. Okay.
That's
So
all true.
it's not a critical difference, but if given the choice.
And when you walk in the room, usually you'll find two people, one who will ask the questions and one will actually be a stenographer of sorts, right?
An observer, yeah. Uh, I would try and relate to both of them unless they make it clear not to. Let me now give you my other major point. The key word to keep in mind about HBS interviews is don't be scripted. You go, hey, what does that mean? Scripted means scripted. That means you've prepared answers and you're kind of regurgitating them. That's rare. Scripted also means a number of reasons that they don't like you, that they don't want to commit to on paper when they write your post-interview report. They they may really think, boy, I don't like this guy. He's obnoxious. He wasn't paying attention. Uh, I don't like the cut of his jib. We got too many Indians anyway. They can't say any of that. So they might write, this candidate struck me as being scripted. So that's something to keep in mind.
So it's a vague term for rejection.
Yeah, they used to allow you to after they used to. I don't know if they still have this. They used to be able to call them up, and if you got interviewed and rejected, you used to be able to call them up and they'd tell you why you were rejected. I don't think they do this anymore, but frequently when I spoke to people after that process, interviewed, rejected, they called Harvard to get feedback. They then called Sandy to get, re-pissed off. The reason that Harvard gave them was, well, the interviewer said you sounded scripted. There's no,
Yeah.
there's no getting around.
Now, Sandy, you and I have done a number of mock interviews over the years, and you'll find them on our site. And oftentimes you start off with one or two questions. One is, take me through your resume. The other is, introduce yourself to your classmates. What are the first questions that people are likely to get?
Those questions, you should be able to, if you want to prepare for a Harvard Business School interview, you should be able to walk through your resume in a short version. Well, walk me through your resume. Okay. You should be able to do that in, 30 seconds. Ditto. Another popular question is introduce yourself to your classmates. That is something that it should even be shorter. John, you want to be a guinea pig? Introduce yourself to your classmates.
Hi, I'm John. I'm originally from New Jersey. I've been running a company for a number of years now. It's pretty successful. In fact, I recently sold it.
That's not bad. Uh, well, what your classmates only want to know two things about you, really. Well, they want to know, well, two or three things. They want to know where you went to college, what jobs you had, and what you can do for them. So the answer is, hi, I'm Joe Blow. I graduated Yale. After that, I worked for Joe Blow Investment Bank for 2 years, and then I worked for Jill Blow private equity firm. And I'm interested in squash and camping. So if anyone wants to play a squash game, I'm kind of ranked this way, or go camping. Let me know. That's a good way to introduce yourself to your classmates. The end.
Now, when you say it should only take 30 seconds to walk someone from through your resume, that makes it sound like all you want to do is basically repeat what the resume already says as opposed to add value to it. Is that your theory?
Yes, don't brag and don't brag, don't sell. Thank you. That was an excellent question. Don't sell. Just walk them through your resume, and I would focus on the well, I would focus on the most recent part, which is what they're interested in.
And not to say too much, right? Because you should answer the question directly and with great clarity, but don't add anything. Let them ask another question. That has been sort of a hallmark of the mock interviews that you've done.
Yeah, people lose track of. They just keep talking, and they very often people say, "What was the question again?" I'm not kidding. Okay, that frequently happens. You're so pent up, and you're so ready to go. The guy says, "Well, I see you went to Cornell. Could you tell me about Cornell?" And there are people who are at HBS still answering that question from last year. They don't realize the interview is over.
Now,
Yeah,
Sandy, should you walk into the interview room and let it be natural, or should you walk in with a goal? And the goal might be, I need to convince them what I can contribute in a class discussion.
excellent question. The purpose of the interview is to flunk people. It is don't sell. They interview 10 people and they reject one or two. So you don't want to be one of those one or two. The purpose is they've already bought you. Okay, they want you. The purpose of the interview is kind of like getting into the country and having to go through a tuberculosis check or whatever they do there. It's more like a medical exam. They want to know that one, you can speak English. Most people can. Two, you're not obnoxious. And three, the classic test is, would I want to sit next to this guy? That's often an interview, and that's the test. And surprisingly, it's often an interview question. Who would you want to sit next to?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you can do
There
a
are only
lot of.
30 minutes to the interview.
Yeah, let me tell you,
Yeah.
how long before the interview is really over?
I would guess the first 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's like anything else. It's like a blind date. How long? How long? How long is it before a blind date is over? Or yeah,
You
over.
mean there's some cases where as soon as you walk in the room, it's done.
Not as soon as you. Yeah, okay. Blind date. Yeah, you're not being judged on your appearance, by and large. But if they get a sense they don't like you, it's over. And the reason they don't like you is totally legitimate. They say this guy wouldn't contribute to class. This guy can't speak English. This guy is obnoxious. This guy's a braggart. Those are legitimate reasons for rejecting.
So should
Uh,
I go in with a goal? Because I know how important it is for Harvard to assess what kind of contribution I'll make in a case study classroom. Is that something I want to somehow prove? And therefore,
no,
somehow
don't
I
don't
need
go.
to
Don't.
wedge that in?
They sometimes ask that. Be prepared for that. Be prepared to walk through your resume, find the most common HBS interview questions. Maybe I'll post some of them under this thing, but it's also on the links. All this information is on the links that we've posted below.
Right. So we've done a number of these, how not to blow your Harvard Business School interview.
Yeah. These are real Harvard interview questions. Some of the resume based, okay? Forget that I read your application and tell me about yourself. What was your favorite class in college? What's your proudest moment in college? A critical question is a very simple one. Why did you attend Cornell? And a bad reason is because I didn't get into Harvard. Okay. And why did you attend Cornell as an undergraduate? Well, I went to an academic high school. I did very well. I applied to Harvard, Yale, and Cornell. I got dinged at Harvard and Yale, and Cornell was the next one on the status totem pole. Okay.
You don't want to say that ever.
Right. But you should be able to.
In fact, this is a good point, Sandy. You never want to say anything that's negative, right?
Almost. That's a good advice. Yeah, that's right.
About anybody or anything.
Unless, well, the question they ask is, be prepared for leadership questions. This is all in the material below, but be prepared for leadership questions, including what kind of leader are you? Who is the best leader you ever worked for and why? And then there's sometimes a zinger to that. What's the best thing that person said to you? So who's the best leader you ever worked for? And what's the best advice or critique that person ever said to you? And then they have a question. Tell me about an experience you've had working for a bad leader. And then they ask a very difficult question. What is a very difficult question after tell me about working for a bad leader? What were you able to
what did you learn?
Well, what you learned, and were you able to make the situation better? Or did you just say, okay, the guy's a bad leader, I'm going to suck it up?
Right. Because you want to portray yourself as proactive, not just sitting back and taking whatever happens.
Yeah.
So some of these questions are quite challenging. Do they ever get tricky?
Not really. I mean, not intentionally. You be prepared for questions like, why do you want to go to HBS? And a good answer is, well, I've read a lot about it on the internet. I had friends who went there. I spoke to them. I went on a visit. My greatest source of knowledge is talking to people who are current students. And they said this, this, and this.
Now, did they ask you about your post-MBA goals?
They do. You should have that. You should have long-term goals, medium-term goals, and short-term goals. It's good to start with long-term goals. My long-term goals is to be an impactful investor. Sidebar here. It's good to have a list of 3 heroes, 3 people you admire. My long-term goal is to be an impactful investor. A hero of mine is Joe Blow, and he's my hero because he did this, this, and this. In order to have an impact like Joe Blow, after business school, I plan to do this. After that, I plan to do that. And my final situation would be to maneuver where I could have an impact like Joe Blow. That's a good way to talk about your goals.
Did you ever name a politician as a role model?
Why? It's dangerous.
Right.
The person interviewing you might have, you might pick something innocuous, like a politician I admire is Barack Obama. You might even go, how can I go wrong? Person interviewing may not like Barack Obama. I don't know. You should have one.
Now, most admission interviews at Harvard Business School are done by admission staff, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Can't you draw a short Could you draw a short straw? In other words, I'm thinking that while there's a lot of commonality across the board and consistency among the interviewers, it's possible that there are some interviewers who are a lot tougher than others.
Yeah, yeah. That welcome to Life 101. You can draw a short straw in being an interviewer. You could draw a short straw in having a boss. You draw a lot of straws in life, and some of them are short. Uh,
Indeed. All right. So one last question for you.
yes, sir.
Listening to all these questions could very easily make me feel overwhelmed. And if I listen to your number one mistake of being scripted, I wonder if I can really prepare for this thing. Now, one thing that you do is mock interviews with candidates all the time. And I wonder, why is a mock interview a helpful exercise for someone who's walking in? Because there are so many questions, and to be prepared for every single one of them is to overwhelm you in a way that's
Yeah,
probably
well, you
not
don't prepare
productive.
for every one of them. What you prepare for is to have access to your life experiences and not to get blown and to be. And one thing you can practice is walking through your resume. It also
Yeah.
helps to have certain things kind of in the bag, like leaders you admire, good teams, bad teams. It helps to have, in a conversational, non scripted way, your career roadmap. That's helpful. And there are 10 kind of standard questions like that, questions about why you went to the college you went to. Yeah, I
So
gave a
there you
kind of
have it.
a
Sandy
blurred
Kreisberg,
version of it.
Sandy
Yeah.
Kreisberg on how to deal with the HBS interview. And incidentally, beneath this video, you'll find a lot of resources from Sandy over the years on what other questions you might get, how to handle yourself. I think we did a really good job in covering that. Obviously, when you show up, don't show up like a slob, uh, and don't be stinking of cigarette,
Well, no, I get a lot of
tobacco.
questions about the real mistake about dress is don't overdress. For instance, don't wear one of those things under your tie clip. Okay, that's kind of a
No
little
tie
late.
clip, no
Yeah,
suspenders,
yeah, no
no
suspender.
handkerchiefs in your
Yeah,
pocket.
yeah, very good, John. Yeah, no, I don't know what the female equivalent of this is, but no tie clip,
A
suspenders.
simple, clean, nicely tailored suit.
Right. Yeah, suspenders is the real one.
Never.
Unless you wear suspenders all the time, don't wear suspenders.
All right, there you have it.
No,
Hey, good luck to all of you out there. Hope you get an invite and you don't get a ding. And again, I'm just going to say, Sandy does a lot of mock interviews. He has a vast level of experience in counseling candidates who
yeah, thank you,
go and
John.
get
Yes.
the opportunity. And Sandy will grill you like he grills me because Sandy is a hard ass, right, Sandy?
No, I don't like to think of I like to think of myself as someone who has the firmness of my backside varies with the occasion. So I can be a hard ass or a soft ass or whatever. I don't want to be known as a hard ass.
All right, there you have it. All right, for all of you
Okay.
out there, good luck. It's John Byrne with Poets and Quants. Thanks for watching.